All right, so we are live, and Alan,
Beautiful.
thank you so much for joining me today. I really am interested in how you got into this sending energy through the web and sending healing to people. Like, it's probably not something you thought you would be doing as a child. You didn't go, someday I'm going to have a YouTube channel and heal people through the web.
No, definitely not. I actually thought all healers were fakes up like 2 years ago. People would send me links of different healers, and I would be mean to them basically. Like, that's just a bunch of adults playing pretend. Like I was not into it at all. And then someone, because I had the YouTube channel, but it was mostly on like psychedelics and past life regression and stuff like that. And a viewer sent me a link because they knew I liked John Edwards, the medium. And she says, I know you like John Edward, and he interviewed this guy, Charlie Goldsmith, who's a healer. You should check it out. And so I did. And he seemed really down to earth and normal. And he wanted to be studied by science. He wasn't all woo woo. And so I was like, maybe I could believe into this guy. And so I started watching his show. I watched his show, The Healer, which was on, I think, TLC. And I was like, wow, that's okay. I can believe in this guy. Other healers, maybe not so much. So I was on my way to the Arthur Findlay College in the UK to study mediumship with Paul Jacobs. And when I got there, we went through the whole week of mediumship, and it went well. And the very last event that we have is he offered healing to people for free, or like as a part of like a going away ceremony. So I was like, well, if I'm going to try healing, I've never tried it before. If I'm going to try it, I'm going to try it from Paul Jacobs. So I go and I sit down, and he puts his hands above me. He doesn't even touch me. And as soon as I sit down and I close my eyes just start twitching like crazy. My head, all the muscles in my head start twitching. My heart starts racing. My palms get super hot and sweaty. And I was just like, what in the world is happening? Like, I felt like literally someone just stuck me into an electrical outlet. And I sat there for like 5 minutes, and then, he finishes and you go sit back down. I went and sat back down, and I was still twitching for hours afterwards. And I walked up to him afterwards and I go, I think you just changed my life. And I was like, how do I learn more about healing? And he was like, well, you really don't need to learn any more about healing. All you have to do is you just channel energy. So you just basically get in the power, which you learn in mediumship courses, is what you sit and you imagine a beam of light kind of going through your body, and you kind of hold that power. It's called being in the power. And then you just kind of imagine energy coming down and then to the person that you're healing. And so as soon as I went home, I was like, can I try it on you? Can I try it on you? Can I try it on you? Like asking all my friends over like Facebook Messenger. This one girl was in Ireland. I'd never even met her before, but I was like, hey, you seem open to like this sort of stuff. Do you mind just like sitting quietly with your eyes closed? And she was like, yeah, okay, no problem. And so I did it. My original healings were only about a few minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. So I would close my eyes, and my eyes would start doing this thing. And whenever my eyes twitch, I just know that the energy is flowing. So I would just sit there, close my eyes, wait for my eyes to stop twitching. And then I would text them back saying, did you feel anything? And probably the first 10 people I tried it on were like, yeah, wow, like that was crazy. Like this happened. One girl was like, she goes, I felt this rumbling in my stomach. So the person said that like their eyes felt like they were going to pop out. They were just like, she could feel all this pressure. And that sounds bad, but it was good. She liked it. So then I had my YouTube channel already, which had been, a few years in the making. And so I told people on my channel that, this is what happened to me, because that's on my channel. I like it to be just a progression of my life, kind of my progression. Like I started the channel because I had a dream that I was going to be dead in a year. So I thought, if I'm going to be dead in a year, what do I want to leave behind? And so there were certain stories that I wanted to leave behind. And so I just started telling those stories, and that has just slowly progressed from dreams, psychedelics, past life regression to mediumship to now healing. And I just think it's so cool. It's so visceral. You can't deny it if you're experiencing it, that like, how could I not share it with as many people as I possibly could? So
one of the things I liked in your recent interview was that you guys were talking about how true energy healing and true mediumship doesn't take energy and life force away from you, that you actually feel more energized after that. Do you feel more energized after you do healings, or have you ever felt like, okay, maybe I've messed up and I'm using too much of my own force to try to help?
Well, that's the one thing I kind of disagree with him on that. I think because the way it feels to me is that, yeah, I'm not using my life force, but the energy is so strong that's flowing through me. It's kind of like a water hose that's with a lot of water pressure. And the more pressure that's going through that hose, it stretches it out and it stresses the hose. That's how I feel my body is, because so much energy is flowing through me that my body gets stressed. And then, yeah, it kind of, it does get tired, or it can't hold the pressure anymore, if that makes sense.
It does.
So,
It does. Yeah. So maybe we're a conduit for only so much. Like as a soul outside of my body, I felt like I could just soak up all of that light. But maybe, are you saying since we are a physical being, there's only so much we can bring in?
yeah, 100%. So, and I also know that from through time. So when I first started doing this, I was, like I said, it was 3 to 5 minutes. And then I've progressed where the more I've done this, the more my body can hold. So now my sessions that I do live every weekday are 30 minutes. And I've been able to go as long as an hour, but they will like tire me out, or it's not really like tiring out. It's like more like wearing me out. And then, but I feel the same if I go see another healer. So if I go see another healer, some people get really energized after a healer. Some people need to sleep. I need to sleep. Even if I go do an acupuncture, if I go to acupuncture, I feel like I took a Xanax. I'm just like, the rest of the day. And I told my acupuncturist that, and he was like, oh, that's not normal, or that's not, most people feel energized. And so the way energy affects me from other healers, it also affects me. So.
Interesting. So yeah, maybe everyone's different in a sense in the way that they interact with that. But one thing that I also love about your channel and that latest interview is I love the idea that intuition and healing and all of these things develop from knowing ourselves and loving ourselves more. And when I listen to your videos, I feel like you're incredibly authentic, and you just share your journey, and it just seems like a real person is talking without filters. And that's really deeply appreciated. And do you think that that was part of your journey to opening up to this healing, is really knowing yourself deeply and being at peace with yourself?
Yeah, I think so. Exactly. Like I was talking to I'm always trying to figure out why I can do what I can do, or why other people can't feel it. And I was talking to a friend just a few days ago, and she was telling me, she was, because you're so vulnerable and you're so open and so normal, that's why you are such a good channel. You don't have any, she said, I don't have ego, but I think we all have some ego, but I just try my best to be as real as possible. And I think that's what helps me with the ability. That's what she said. So
yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me, because if you're trying to be something else, like this idea of people trying to be mediums, no, it's just this, it's something you test out first. You see, wow, am I really connecting to this person's ancestor? Is this accurate? Can I clearly describe who this person is in a way that makes sense to that person? And it's, you take chances with this in the beginning, and it's a development, and then you find, oh, okay, I kind of like this. And it's a different journey for everyone. When I look at your journey, it seems kind of instant with the healing. Like you had this profound experience, and did you just kind of move into it pretty quickly?
yeah, it was instantaneous. It was never something I was trying to do or wanted. It just happened. So, but I need to go back for real quick, because from your interview, you were saying in your near-death experience, you said, be more like a child. And I think that's also one of the reasons why this works so well, is because I still do that. I just go at everything with the curiosity of a child. So my tagline for my YouTube channel was stay curious and keep exploring, because that's what kids do. And as adults, we stop being curious and we start being judgmental. And when you're judgmental, when you're not happy, when you're not grateful, when you're not open, then you get shut off, I think, to these spiritual gifts.
Yeah, and what's interesting is even when people make fun of things. So like I have shown my high school students, they go to the community college, some clips from spiritual teachers, and at first they were really like just judgmental, and they were like, oh, this is so weird. And then one kid was like, maybe I'll be like that someday. So instead of judging, he kind of saw himself in that role, or thought, maybe I have this ability to talk with people and channel that energy. So it's really kind of cute that playfulness, when you open up to it, you don't know what your gifts are and what might
Exactly.
happen.
Yeah, and the more you're able to do that, and the better you'll have, the better experiences you'll have. And that also is true with healing in terms of animals and children. Animals and children have really great reactions to my videos and to my healing, and adults maybe not so much. So with my live ones, I always tell people, like, your animals will probably come into the room. They'll probably like want to get on you or be near the computer. And then kids are the same way. It's because animals and children are just super open, and they can feel it just by the nature of their being. So being like a child works.
So do you think that it's just that unconditional love of God that you're pulling in? Like, to me, that seemed like the greatest healer. Or do you think that you're pulling in this openness of all consciousness and divinity to work on that person where they are at that place, or kind of a combination of things like that?
I believe, or what I call it is experience the light. So I think I just channel pure white light, and within white light, like you experienced in your near-death experience, most people experience pure white light, and they call that God. And then God is everything. So some people like to think, they say God is everything, but they'll think it's still separate. No, everything is everything. So God is everything. So God is light. And so the light comes through me, and then through that light, people can get healed of things. They can open spiritually. They can have past loved ones stop by. So a lot of people will experience mediumship through my sessions, because all I think I'm doing is opening. I used to call myself a doorway, but it's more like a portal. Like, I just kind of hold the light. I hold this tube of light, and through that light comes healing, comes mediumship, comes all the things.
Yeah, it's interesting. The greatest healer to me was definitely unconditional love, because I'd never felt that good. Do people write to you and say that they, like, when I experienced a healing from you, I felt like I went back in time. I felt like, oh, my body was taken back about 20 years ago, and I felt this difference in how I felt then. And then it was merged with this energetic feeling right now, and I felt this healing. Do people ever describe to you their particular healings?
Oh yeah, and it varies so drastically. Some people will see things, some people will hear things. So I even say that after my sessions, I like, did you hear anything, see anything, feel anything? Because some people, like you, seem to get transported to other dimensions even, or some people will they'll see orbs and colors and stuff in the room. Some people will just feel like a pulsing or electricity or waves like flowing through them. I think, again, kind of going back to your NDE, I think it's kind of like you get what you need at that moment. Like, when that light is open, when that light is flowing, that it's going to give you what you need in that moment. And so I always tell people too, every session will be different. So sometimes, and it tends to progress over time. So some people will come to me and they'll barely feel anything, or for some reason it starts in people's big toe. So they'll feel like their big toe twitching. And then if they keep coming, occasionally, then their eyes will start twitching and their third eye will start pulsing, or they'll feel, different things. So it's not any one thing, but what people write me all the time, they'll say, this is going to sound really weird, and then they'll tell me their story because they think, I haven't heard it, but I've heard so many interesting stories from it. So.
Yeah. So someone is asking on the feed, do you think that forgiveness is a big part of healing too? Do you think that letting go of things in the past opens us to greater forgiveness and healing?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I think, and I even will tell people that too, is the energy is really good with breaking up past. So we store energy in our body, we store emotions and past traumas in our body, and guilt and stress and different things like that are like kind of energy densities in the body. And the energy can come through and help break that up. And then you'll have a release, like you'll laugh or cry. A lot of people will cry during my sessions. But if you are holding on to, say, what was the word you just used? If you're holding on to resentment or you're holding a grudge against somebody, then that's something you have to do kind of on your own. And the energy can only do so much. You do have to work on yourself somewhat. Like I always tell people too, in terms of like, you come to me wanting to lose weight, but you eat cheeseburgers every day for, you're not going to lose the weight. So some stuff is put on you as an individual. But I love forgiveness and I love gratitude. Those are like the two things I try to tell people to have as much as they can and love.
And you have to be honest with yourself too. That's part of that, knowing yourself and loving yourself, like whatever it is you're trying to change. It might take 4 years to change. It might take two, but at least the energy work might put you on the path to begin that. And for some people, healing is instant and that's just miraculous and beautiful. But for others, it takes time. And sometimes energy healing, I think, is just that push in the right direction.
Yeah. And what I love about energy healing too, it's like when I first got into it, I really didn't, if I'm going to be honest, had no desire really to heal anyone. I just wanted people to experience this energy, because once you experience an energy the way I did, you can't look at the world the same way anymore. So it's impossible to go, oh, there's no spiritualness. Once you are in a room and someone from a different part of the planet makes you feel something in your body, then you're like, oh, okay, I have to rethink a lot of things.
Yeah, and that's something that I just take for granted, like a knowing that I take for granted because I've been outside of my body, but I come in contact with so many people who want certainty. They don't want just a medium reading. They want their mom behind me when I'm talking to them, like in this light-filled, way. And I'm like, well, there is going to be a moment where you feel it, where something is so strong for you that you can't deny it. But yeah, that's definitely one of those markers where things change when you feel it.
And I think it's important too. You can't want something too bad, because sometimes wanting something too much will put a block up. So I know with mediumship, people they need to come to a medium because they want to experience their mom so much that they can't. But I firmly believe everyone can communicate to anyone that they lost, that they love, because everyone has a connection via love. But people tend to need mediums because they have that wall up. They want it so bad that they need someone else, an outside, unbiased source. Like, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I do agree with that. And I also am getting so many questions on this feed, good questions. Most people's questions are around the brain, around depression, anxiety, PTSD, all of the things that people struggle with mental health. And do you find that this is something on my healing journey? I found that sometimes I would come asking for a particular healing and I would have to work on something totally different before I could get to that I would have to work on some emotional healing before I could get to the physical problem of, say, depression.
Yeah, I agree. And I usually tell people that they can set the intention for whatever they want to get healed, but I prefer they come as whatever's for my highest good. Because the energy, and I say the energy is intelligent, it knows what you need more than you do. And sometimes you do have to work on, letting something go before, your leg gets better or whatever. It's not as simple as waving a magic wand and being like, okay, now you're no longer depressed. It can be. I mean, I had a lady come to me who said she'd been depressed for 10 years, she just was like super, monotone, and you could just hear the sadness in her voice. And I was like, okay, well, sometimes people end up having to cry. So if you do have to cry, please let it out. And as soon as we started the session, she just cracked up laughing and was like laughing so hard she was crying. And for 10, 15 minutes, all she did was laugh. And it was one of those things I was trying to like be serious, but I'm like wanting to laugh because she's laughing so hard. And she was like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. And I was like, I've never heard of that. So, because up until that point, I've heard of people crying. But so it can get released, but you never know. So like what you said, you just be open.
Yeah. And then some people are asking, well, can you ask the light to illuminate what I need to work on? But I guess your answer of, hey, for my highest good, in general, this is an area I'd like to work on, but let's work on this issue for my highest good.
Yeah. And sorry, what's the first part of that question?
Oh, the first part, someone was asking, well, should I go pray first and ask God to illuminate, what I should work on?
Yeah, that's good. And I've found people lately in my live streams if they ask a question, they go into it just asking a question. And then I always say, ask the question, then let it go. Imagine writing it on a piece of paper and then sending it off to the postman in the sky and just kind of forget about it. And more often than not, if you do that, as soon as the healing starts, the answer will pop into your head, just because. So that's one way to approach it, but it's, again, don't hold on to it. as, oh, I need to know this, I need to know this, I need to know this, I need to know this. Just go, this is what I would like to know. And then just imagine sending it off to the sky or universe or God.
Well, I like what you say and what you said in the latest interview that you did about sometimes people are not happy in their lives and they really want to break through. They really want a healing, and there's so much energy around that. I mean, it's intense, and they're like, I want to feel something from the other side. I'm depressed. What do I need to do? Do I need to take mushrooms? Do I need to go, get ketamine? Do I need to go, travel somewhere? What is it that I need to do? And I want these people to have a breakthrough so badly. And yet I just feel like it's part of their journey to be blocked for a time until they release kind of that energy around it. And it's so hard to tell someone in that moment, like, you have to relax. But do you get that feeling around people who are so anxious for a breakthrough?
Yeah. And because I'm the same way. I want everything now. So I completely understand that. Something that I heard years ago at an event, or I heard a literal voice in my head tell me everything is a gift. So your depression is a gift in a way. Like everything that you struggle with that you think is a negative thing in your life is actually there to show you something. So once you look at it that way, then you can be you'll be surprised what will happen in your life.
Oh yeah, from personal experience, I can say every painful thing that I've walked through, I don't even recognize myself on the other side. I'm so much stronger. I mean, I just feel like I've been transformed into something else after a tough time. I'm sure you feel similar.
Oh yeah. And then, so I know it's hard sometimes when you're in the moment, but you will probably understand this the most is whenever something is negative happening in my life, that if I want to look at it positively, I'll just go, okay, well, that's just for my biography. That's just for a chapter in my book, because everybody's book, nobody wants to read a book where more good things happen. And then today, more good things happened. And then more good things happen. Like you have to have that friction, because that's how you grow. And so, you've wrote a literal book. So
yeah, and although I do have this statement now, I'm like, I've suffered enough. Like, let's have a lot of good stuff from this point forward, and that idea of protection and light and moving forward and letting lessons not come from being triggered. I think that's a big one. Like when you're fully aware of your childhood and, all of your patterns as an adult. And I think the biggest thing is to go, okay, I'm experiencing something now and I'm going to transcend it because I know better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's super hard in the moment sometimes, but looking back, we always will see how it helped us.
So people's ideas, I'm going to let you provide the healing that you think is best, but here's what some people are saying. People are worried about the world situation of unrest and chaos, of COVID, of their own mental health, the challenges of not being as social as they were, and just the challenges of depression and mental health issues. Those are the things that are coming up on the feed. How is the best way to heal us collectively, I guess, from fear?
Oh, well, like I tell people, I'm not really a healer. I know you kind of classify myself as that, but I'm more of just a channel for the energy. So all I do is I open the door, and so I leave it up to the energy. I try not to push the energy in any certain way. I can do one-on-ones where I'll put like a ball of light on, say, someone's shoulder if they want to get healed of that. But the fear and anxiety and all that, like that's again, you're not feeling connected. You don't really have, there's no faith. You have to try to look at things differently. And when you try looking at everything as a gift, go, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can I be better? And that will help solve a lot of issues. I know that's not what people want to hear, but I think that's true.
Yeah, so I'd like for you to do a healing for my listeners who are watching right now.
Sure.
And, you can do this if you want for the brain or just for general healing, whatever you feel called to do. But I think it's just beautiful. And I'm excited that there are people watching and who are ready for this and who are open. They have open hearts, and, that I love to see those types of comments. So what would you like to do?
Well, how long do I have?
25 minutes, 20 minutes.
Oh, Okay.
If you
And
want to go
then,
that long, or if you want to break it up, it's up to you.
okay, sure, I can do that. And then, so all I need people to do is get comfortable. So find a place where you're not going to be distracted or disturbed. So preferably on a couch or on a bed, but preferably away from other people. So, because again, with this healing, people tend to have emotional releases, and you want to feel comfortable laughing, crying, coughing, sneezing, yawning. All those things are kind of releasing of energy. And so once you're comfortable, all you need to do is close your eyes and then set your intention to whatever you would like to be healed. Again, I said I always prefer people say whatever's for my highest good, and then you can also say, so I'm now open to receiving the healing energy. And then once you do that, all you need to do is then relax and allow. So imagine someone is coming to bring you dinner or give you a gift. You don't have to believe in the gift. You don't have to, like the dinner or whatever, but you just need to accept it. So you need to accept this gift and let it do whatever it's going to do. So, and so all I do, I'll talk myself through, I'll say kind of what I'm doing at the beginning, and then I'll just kind of let it flow. So again, I get into power. So I imagine this beam of light going through my body. And as soon as that happens, my eyes start doing this and they start twitching. And then I also will jolt a little bit, or like these little body jolts. I found if I put my hands up, it's not as jolty. So, and then, I just start feeling it go through my body, and I'll, I don't want to talk my way through it, but I'll just move this ball of light first around everyone's body. And then I'll do a collective thing where I'll put everybody in a ball of light. And and then we can just experience that for about the next 20 minutes. So if you could just go ahead and take a few nice, big, deep breaths and just get as relaxed as you possibly can. You start at the top of your body, slowly scan down your body, looking for any tension you might be holding behind your eyes, behind your mouth, in your shoulders. And just continue to breathe deeply and relax. Okay, if you could, take a few deep breaths into your nose, out to your mouth. Give your body a little stretch. Wiggle your fingers, your toes. Slowly come back into your body. How was that for everyone? Did you hear anything? See anything? Feel anything?
Yes. It was funny. There were some people who were asking. I stopped for a minute because your video wasn't the one showing. It was just me meditating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And so I switched that, but I saw that some people were asking, can we do this with our eyes open? And so I'm curious, like, it's probably better if people meditate and get into that space to feel the energy, but someone asked, is it possible to still feel healing?
Yes. So I'm very, very big about experimentation. I don't like people really telling anybody how you should do it or you need to do it. And I say that too. I have a Patreon group where I do this on Sundays. And I have a guy there who has told me, he says he feels it better with his eyes open. So, and then I've also found a lot of people, if you wear glasses, which I need to start telling people, take your glasses off. For whatever reason, people, if they're wearing glasses, they tend to feel it less. So I think most people do better with their eyes closed and laying down. But, if you feel it dancing and with your eyes open, dance with your eyes open. I don't care.
Awesome. Well, I had to fix that tech error, but then I went into meditation and I felt it better in meditation for me personally. And I had a little bit of a headache coming into this interview, and I feel clearer and less of a headache. So I know the energy was working on that level for me. So very cool.
Beautiful.
And then
anybody else saying anything?
Yes. Someone said I've never yawned so much in my life. Is that normal?
Yeah, yawning is perfectly normal. Sometimes I do the yawning, sometimes you do the yawning. But a yawning is it's a releasing past traumas, stuck emotions. It's like it can happen with yawning, coughing, crying, laughing. I think those are pretty much all of them. But I've gone through phases. So every 6 months, something new happens to me. So at the beginning, I was only twitching with my eyes. And then I started twitching and then doing these really hard body jolts. And then I went through a phase where I was coughing really bad and then yawning. And then now it's pretty much leveled out where sometimes I yawn, sometimes I cough, but my eyes just always do the twitch thing. But yawning's common.
Interesting. Well, lots of people said that they have less of a headache, that they feel heat in their hands, tingling. All of these things are probably normal and often said.
Tingling and heat in the hands. I always say if you're feeling heat in the hands, that tends to tell me that you're probably a healer. So that's what I always tell people. Usually if I'm doing one-on-ones with people and my hands start getting really hot, then I will usually tell them, I'll ask them if they're a healer, and they usually say yes. Or if they say no, then I'm like, well, you should probably try it. So
someone else said that he was just listening in and he was doing housework, but then he felt dizzy during the healing. So probably needed to sit down.
Yeah. A lot of people don't like to take advice, and so they have to learn that way.
Oh, interesting. Well, thank you for coming on my channel and for doing this for people, because I think it's so important. I think so many of us in the spiritual community love talking and we love, the interviews and the discussions of things, but when you can actually feel energy, that's where the shift, I think, begins for so many of us. And then to some degree, some of us become like energy junkies, like, I want more healing.
Yeah, very true. So, and I do this again every weekday on my YouTube channel, which is Shaman Oaks. And then, or you can look on my website, shamanoaks.com. I always post the most, there's always a video, my next video, and there's a countdown when the next one I'm going to be doing, and a button for schedules. So if you ever want to check in on that, please feel free. So it's all free. I do it every weekday. I was doing one-on-ones, but I'm going to stop doing one-on-ones because kind of like what your viewers were saying, there's a lot of depression, people, a lot of scared, a lot of darkness in the world. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to just I'm living all on like donations and Patreon. So everything is free. I just want as much of this good energy to get into the world, because that's how we will heal. So
And my last question for you before I let you go is really this. I'm teaching a workshop on deepening your intuition, and I'm really trying to reach people who feel like they aren't in touch with their own knowing, their own self. What was one of the most important things you did to open up your intuition and to know yourself at a deeper level?
I would say that's just meditation. And there's a one called Sitting in the Power, which is how I learned to like grow this energy within myself. And so if you look up Sitting in the Power by Tony Stockwell, he has a good meditation for that. I always link to it in my descriptions of my videos. So if you go to any of my healing videos and look in the description, there's like a what is sitting in the power, and there's 2 different meditations. So that will help you grow your own energy. So, and that will help with mediumship, psychic abilities, intuition, healing.
Yeah, I agree. And every person I interviewed at my summit who's a near-death experiencer, healer, or medium, we're all saying the same things. You know, these times are challenging, but meditation helps us integrate a lot of these challenges and helps us deal with them in peaceful, loving ways. So I totally agree.
Yeah. And then when I interviewed Peter Panagore, who, he talks about, you're always you're carving a channel of light within your body. And that's what meditation does. That's what sitting in the power does. That's what this healing does, is you have to grow that connection. And if you don't use it, you lose it, sort of thing. It's kind of like any muscle. And so the more you meditate, the more you do healing, the more you just even think about working on your intuition, the more you think about more spiritual things, the more open you will become to all the things.
Oh, well, wonderful. Lots of thanks and hearts and hands held high. So my
Lovely.
listeners appreciate it, and yours do too. But thank you so much for talking with me and for this healing. I really appreciate it. So check out Alan's channel, and please check out my workshop as well, which is online.